Hey, what's up guys? Slick here from the WGN Xbox YouTube channel, bringing you potentially the first official Like a Diamond completion. So if you're watching this video, you're probably aware that the Triumph was bugged for a long time, but with the patch yesterday on January 29th, it is now completable. The purpose of this video is to show you how we accomplished this Triumph and the strategies and cheese, yes cheese, that you can do to complete this Triumph with your team. So just like Petra's Run, this Triumph requires activation before you begin. There are 6 buttons that you have to hit. The order doesn't matter. I'm going to show you where all these are as linearly as I can from the spawn. If you already know where they are, you can skip to the time I'm going to show on screen in the bottom right now, and then you'll see where we start with the first encounter. Otherwise, I'll show you where all these buttons are. The first button is right above position number 2 on a building to the right on the edge of the map. You're going to find that most of these buttons you'll have to do some parkour, so a Warlock or Titan would be better, but I managed fine with Stompies as a Hunter. Second button is on top of a blue building that's pretty close to spawn, just a couple buildings over. This one is sitting right on top of the roof, so jump onto the ledge that you see here, then onto the 2B silver thing that is on the side of the building, and then finally onto the roof, and you'll see the button right there. Third one is behind the map on the edge of the big crater. Drop down behind the back of the building of the button you just hit and head down to the left. This button requires you to jump out and then back in. It's a little tricky to do, but nothing that's impossible. The next button is a little bit of a travel. It's up above and behind where the tank spawns for the Gone Hunting Challenge, which if you need that Triumph as well, I have a video up on my channel on how to do that. This one's going to require you to jump up a couple levels of roof, and you're going to have to jump up a couple ledges as well, and then onto the roof of this little white building here. Then you're going to have to jump across a couple little cutouts, and you can see the button there. Jump from cutout to cutout and hit the 4th button. So let's reset our reference point here. We're back at the spawn. The previous 4 buttons we hit were all on the top sections of the map, and the next 2 are more so on the bottom left. To get to this 5th button overall, which is located on the very bottom left, jump to the building across the street, then you gotta jump back across the street onto this building, walk along the outside edge, and then if you jump up 1 level, you see my friend Existed Carbon sitting right there next to button number 5. The 6th and final button is right next to this. Jump back across and scale the building with the awnings up to the open balcony, and you will find the 6th and final button. And at this point, you're going to see a message pop up in the chat that says the Like a Diamond challenge has been activated. And from this point on, there are no deaths. If you die, you get kicked back to orbit. You're going to have to come back into the raid and hit all the buttons again. Real quickly before we get into the first encounter, let's talk about team composition. 3 Warclocks at a minimum are required, and that's basically the only thing that you need. There's a potential that you could get away with using 1 Warlock and 500 Celestial Nighthawks as far as damage goes for the last encounter. Our team decided to run 3 Warlocks, 2 Hunters, and 1 Titan, and you're going to see why we use the Titan in the last encounter, but for now, just keep in mind that's our team composition. So anyways, as you've already seen, we're underway in the first encounter. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. Surely if you're going for Like a Diamond, you know how to do this encounter. Just to make a couple of tips, definitely the first and most important thing is moving a pack of 4 on the bottom. And when it's time to pick up the batteries, whoever has to go back to base can go back to the base on their own and deposit to recharge the map. The other 3 people should all head in the same direction. Obviously, the person with the battery has to head there. The other team should go with him or her as well. And that way, you're just going out in advance. You're going to have the servitors killed ahead of time. There's a potential that you're going to get a really screwy battery, where you kill the Berserker at position number 4 over on the west, and then you have to go all the way east to number 2. And if that's the case, you're going to want to make sure you have the servitors killed before you even get there, because you're only going to get there with a few seconds left, and you're basically just going to have to bank as soon as you get there. On top of that, to make that whole cross-map journey easier, only kill the Berserkers whenever you absolutely are able to pick up the batteries. So if you still have 10 seconds of ionization, just wait 10 seconds before you kill the Berserker. This is not the challenge. You know, you're not doing the timing thing, keeping the tick above 50%. Don't worry about speed on this encounter. In fact, going too fast could screw you up and cause you to lose on the easiest encounter of this Triumph. Next comes Blazing Glory, or the Flaming Servitor of Death encounter. This is where the cheese kicks in, so no matter how good you are, this encounter is going to be the one that screws you up. There's a cheese that you can use, which I assume was going to work in the normal version as well of the raid. But basically, it's not like it's a crazy exploit or anything at all. It's actually a pretty reasonable one. To do this cheese, you're going to have your 2 best Sparrow Racers. They're going to be lined up at the door ready to go as soon as you start the encounter. The other 4 of you are basically going to charge down the servitor. You're going to need a Well of Radiance as one of the team of 4. That's that way you can survive the first stage of the servitor burn. A couple other things that are going to help you survive. You can see here, I'm holding a Divine Protection Grenade that I'm going to throw. And the rest of us, we're all just going to charge as far back as we can, pop our well, and then that is where we are safe. Before we prepare to charge across, two of you are going to have to punch the hand generators to start the encounter. Stay up on top of the platform. You can see a steel platform, then a drop down. You're going to want to stay up on top of the platform to prevent you from getting caught. On the lip, there's a little lip where the cage drops down into, and you can get caught in that, and that's going to cause you to screw up, and the servitor will kill you. The trick is to get as far back as possible, as quickly as possible, and pop down the well. The two of you that are on the Sparrow, do your best to make it to the end. Assign ahead of time which of you is going to punch the left hand generator and which one is going to punch the right whenever you have to close the door and lock out the servitor. Definitely, if you have the Raid Sparrow, you're going to be wanting using that. Speed Demon Ghost Shells and definitely shorter cooldowns are going to be important for your Sparrow runners. The team of you that is sitting back where the server spawns in, you're just going to have to chill there, and it takes about 8 minutes. The team who's on the Sparrows, they have to get all the way onto the Vault Access encounter and then tap the servitor there a couple times to pull you forward in joining allies. And you're going to see here I speed up that 8 minutes of waiting all into the short 40 seconds here. If you're not a cheeser, good luck to you. All 6 of you are going to have to make it through on your Sparrows. And like I said, good luck's really about the only piece of advice I can give to you. The order that you ride in is not really going to change how you get across this encounter. And you don't have to hit any chest buttons, so that's a good thing. But you are going to have to be able to get to the end. And the first 2 of you are going to have to basically shut the door as soon as everybody gets through and the servitor is on its way. So good luck to you if you're not going to do this with the cheese. Regardless of how you plan on doing it, this encounter is going to take you a couple tries. So maybe going into a normal raid and practicing the first time wouldn't be such a bad idea. I know that's what my team did. We did this the week prior before the bug got fixed. And then we came in straight into Like a Diamond and got through this encounter on our first try. So moving on to the Vault Access encounter, or Phase 1 as some people like to call it, I'm going to recommend sending 4 people down low and then keep your 2 people, preferably your hunters, are going to stay up top and kill the servitors. With the 3 warlocks and a titan down below, you can throw a panic well or a panic bubble if you have to. One of the warlocks should put on a Crown Tempest and Top Tree Storm Trance, and they can just work on clearing ads for all the phase generator punchers. You could also use an Arc Strider with a Raid and Flux if that's how your team is built, but in our case, you can see the gameplay here. I'm using Crown Tempest, Storm Trance. With good tank people, and if you're syncing up your LB, RB attack, whichever console you play on, that barrage attack, if you sync that up, you're going to do more damage, and you should be able to 2-phase this encounter pretty easily. Otherwise, you have to do an extra phase, not a big deal. This encounter is not going to give you a whole lot of trouble. It's one of the easier ones in the Triumph. The final encounter is the second most difficult because there's a lot of points at which you're going to be vulnerable as a Guardian. You're not going to be able to shoot back at the enemies or the snipers, whatever it may be. DPS should be done for the map room, using your 3 wells in the left window, right window, and back by the rally flag. This way you're going to eliminate the risk that comes with having to run away from whether you're in the green building or if you do DPS in the street like a weirdo. Do it in the map room, it's going to keep you safe. Divide your team into 3 groups of 2 like normally. Team 1 on pickup should go out ahead and kill the Marauders and the Berserker and then wait for Team 2 to arrive. Team 2 in the meantime is going to be working on crit spots. Have one person set up where I'm sitting and they'll be hit the shoulder crit spot. The other person is sitting across the way where Carbon is, and they'll hit the armpit. On the map/crit team that you normally have, the Titan, and you'll see where he comes in now throughout the whole video, I was alluding to it, is going to be set up in the back of the map and take out the 2 crit spots on the back. And the Titan can throw down a bubble if he gets in a hairy situation from snipers back there. That's why we have the Titan back there. The map readers just work on taking out the enemies throughout the encounter. To keep his aggro steady off the rip, nobody except for the map reader should be looking at the boss as he spawns in. As you work your way around the map to kill Berserkers, move again as a group of 4, just like the first encounter. That way you lower the risk of being annihilated by a Berserker. Titan and Map Reader should work to stun the boss's attacks if he ever starts trying to annihilate the ground team with one of his special attacks. Stun it, hitting one of the crit spots that you have for different attacks. Like there's one on his neck, one on his back, one on his underneath of the gun, and the fuel canister. Remember that you always should spawn a tank from either position 2 or position 3, the positions that are closest to the map room, and that way you keep the boss's aggro front and center. Ideally, you can 2-phase this boss, but the more phases you add, the more crit spots you're going to have to go out and hit while the encounter is moving on around you, and thus you have the more chances of dying. So 2-phasing shouldn't be terrible for any team that's composed like ours. In fact, you might even be able to 1-phase it. So guys, that wraps up the guide for Like a Diamond. We got lucky and got this on our first go on Tuesday, but we also had some practice in the week prior, like I said earlier, while the Triumph was still bugged. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it on the first try. Like I said, you're going to want to have a good team before you give this a go, so none of that built-in console LFG crap. Speaking of a good team, if you made it this far into the video and you're looking for a Like a Diamond, you're probably good enough to qualify for the Onslaught gaming community that I'm a part of. And they're the guys that I went through this Triumph with, and you've seen them in some previous videos of mine. We have some limited spots open. We're an Xbox PC clan, but we'd love to add some of you. Anyways, guys, as you see right here, we unlocked the Triumph Like a Diamond. And on that note, guys, that's going to do it for me in this video. Thank you all very much for watching. Subscribe for more guides like this if you're new to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.